Greetings, friends, and welcome to my guide on the Savage Fist of the Sun. This encounter is riddled with ridiculous mechanics, has very forgiving enrage, and requires proper raid positioning. I will go into each of the mechanics as we make our way through the phases. This encounter is extremely scripted and will become much easier once you know the order of the abilities. Alright, let's get started. So the first thing I want to say about this encounter is that the puddles are the key for success, as well as knowing which mechanic is coming up next. To activate the puddles, you need to step into the Tesla coil in the middle of the room. It will do low damage per tick, and will continue to do damage the longer you stand in it. 2 or 3 ticks is all you need to properly activate it and make the puddles appear, to give everyone enough time to step into them. Try and never activate the Tesla coil unless you are about to go into a puddle, because whenever the boss runs through the puddles, he gains buffs as well. Whenever a player steps into a puddle, they will gain a stacking debuff that lasts for 4 minutes. If you acquire 12 stacks, bad and terrible things will happen to you, and if the debuff falls off, bad and terrible things will happen to you. Ideally, this will not matter because if the fight is done correctly, the puddle debuff will never fall off. Or if it comes close to falling off near the end of the fight, simply activate the Tesla coil and refresh your buff by running into a puddle. The puddle debuff will very rarely ever even matter in this fight. Now, for the puddles themselves. The green puddle to the north is used to cleanse poison stacks that snake ads put on you. The purple puddle to the west is used to turn into a bird and dodge the boost mechanic. The red puddle to the east is the Donkey Kong puddle, used to knock bombs away. And finally, the blue puddle to the south is used to turn invisible so you can deal with the Chimera properly. Now if the boss runs through these puddles, he will gain a regen from the green, haste from the purple, become invisible from the blue, and a damage stack from the red. So make sure to never drag the boss through these puddles. Now the first thing the boss will do is grow super big. Whenever the boss is big, he will take slightly reduced damage. Here he will put stacking debuffs on the main tank called Headache. Once reaching 4 stacks, the main tank will be stunned for 10 seconds by concussion. This is where the off tank will need to provoke, because if the main tank is hit with anything during concussion debuff, he will take massive damage. Upon tank swapping here, the boss will either do a stack mechanic or a massive damage charge up tank cleave. If it is the stack mechanic, make sure the whole party is stacked up behind the boss and don't clip the main tank. If it is the single heavy hitting tank cleave, be sure to face the boss away from the party and the other tank, usually at a 90-degree angle. Use big cooldowns to mitigate this attack. The boss will shrink again and cast Gloop Gloop. This ability targets a random party member other than the main tank and will place a giant poison puddle underneath them. Depending on where you are in the fight will determine the best placement for these, but a good rule of thumb to remember is, if you place them in between any corner and puddle, you should be fine. Also, never in the center of the room. But for this particular instance, try and not place them around the green or red puddle spots, because these are the puddles you will be using next. If you do by accident, it shouldn't be too much of an issue though, because they should disappear by the time you need to use the puddle. This mechanic is pretty forgiving. The boss will occasionally cast a moderate rate damaging ability called Therapeutic Shock whenever he is small, so just make sure that all people are near full life at all times. The next mechanic will be 2 snakes that spawn in the northeast and the southeast corners of the room. These need to be picked up by the tanks. The snakes will cast hardened scales that should be stunned. They will also throw out stacking poison on random members that can be spread by passing through the player, so be sure not to run through anyone. To cleanse this, simply activate the Tesla coil and run into the green puddle. The next thing the boss will do is bombs away. There are 2 types of bombs. Spike bombs, which blow up in a cardinal direction pattern, or how a rook moves on a chessboard, and the normal bombs, which blow up in a big circle around them. Here is the first bomb pattern. This one is pretty easy. Pretty much, wherever the spike bomb spawns, knock all bombs to the spike bomb and the party will stack on the opposite corner. After the first bombs, the boss will grow big again and start to channel Boost. This ability hits the entire raid 4 times for massive damage and puts stacks of vulnerability up per hit. So to avoid this, you must activate the Tesla coil and hop into the purple puddle to turn into birds. As a bird, you have one completely useless ability and one that reverts you back. During this time, more bombs will go out. These are pretty simple to dodge as well. Look at the 2 middle spike bombs. Whichever one spawns last, go near that one and dodge to the corner after that corner bomb blows up. After dodging to the safe spot, you can revert back. The boss will now do a prey mechanic. A red circle will go above a random party member's head. This indicates who the boss will charge to. The damage is proximity based and the target will need to be shielded. If the target takes any damage, they will suffer damage down, and anyone other than the prey target that gets hit will be instantly killed, so never be in between the boss and the prey target. Ideally, you want to take the prey to the southeast or southwest, whichever one is closer at the time. This is dependent on where you dodge for the bombs. The reason you want him south is because of the next mechanic involving the blue puddle. After the prey, he will immediately follow it up with a massive cleave that hits everything in front of him. To dodge this, simply run behind the boss. It's very important to follow the boss as he dashes away to hit the prey target, because if you are too far, you may not have time to get behind him for the cleave. After the cleave, the boss will apply stacks of headache and induce concussion again. Following this will be another tank swap and either a stack mechanic or a big hit on the tank. Handle this the same as before. Here is where we utilize the blue puddle. After the concussion, the boss will turn small again and the Chimera will spawn in the southwest corner. The Chimera will tether itself to a random DPS or healer. When this happens, simply run into the blue puddle to become invisible. This will break the tether and the off tank will be able to pick it up. Keep the Chimera turned away from the group because it has a conal breath attack. Burn it down as soon as possible and continue DPS on the boss. The boss will cast Gloop Gloop again. A good place for this puddle is right on top of the blue puddle because you will no longer need that part of the arena. Just don't put the Gloop Gloop in any corners because the next mechanic will be bombs away and you will need to dodge in a corner. This bomb pattern is pretty simple as well. Wherever you see the first spike bomb drop, head to that corner, wait for it to blow up, and then move in. Whoever is donkey punching bombs like a badass, make sure to hit them in the opposite corner of where the first spike bomb landed, because shortly after, Twinkle Dinks will pull a fast one on you and drop another spike bomb in that corner. So once you know this, it's really simple. Okay, so now the boss is just going to stand here for a little bit and let you beat the shit out of him. He does spam therapeutic shock multiple times though, so make sure people are topped. After a bit, the boss will grow big again and channel Boost. Drink a Red Bull, get your wings, and prepare to dodge some bombs. These grid bombs are a little confusing at first, but basically there will be 3 spike bombs placed randomly and there will be 1 safe spot. To do this, simply find the row without a bomb, then find the safe spot in that row. Here are some examples. After these bombs are dodged, try and position the boss in the southeast corner to make the next mechanics easier. The boss will do a stack mechanic with double prey. How you handle this is to have the first prey target go to the northeast corner and have the second prey target stack with the group to split the damage. Immediately after the stack mechanic has resolved, have the second prey target topped up and have them move to the southeast. That way, the boss will charge north, then south, making the upcoming cleave extremely easy to avoid. After double prey, there will be another concussion with either another stack mechanic or tank buster, so handle this the same as before. The boss will shrink again here, and 2 waves of adds will spawn. The first wave, there will be a red Cyclops in the northwest corner, pigs in the northeast corner, and 2 goblin snipers that cast petrifaction in the southwest and southeast corner. The goal is to keep the Cyclops away from the pigs because if he gets too close he will eat them and kill everyone. So have the off tank pick up the Cyclops and hold him there until the pigs are either picked up by the main tank and move south, or they aggro onto the healers. Then once the pigs are grouped up, caster LB the boss, pigs, and goblin sniper in the southeast corner. To dodge petrifaction, simply look north or south. You can continue to DPS and cast as long as you are facing north or south. You should not get petrified. Around this time, the off tank should move the Cyclops to the northeast corner to prepare for the second wave of adds. The second wave of adds will be more pigs in the northwest and a snake in the northeast. Have either the main tank move northwest and pick up the pigs, or have the healers aggro them and bring them over. Burn these down as soon as possible. While this is happening, the off tank should be pre-positioned in the northeast corner to pick up the snake and feed it to the Cyclops. This will kill the Cyclops extremely fast. At this point, check your puddle debuffs because they should be close to falling off. If they are, simply activate the Tesla coil and hop in a puddle to refresh them. Once that circus is over, burn the boss as fast as possible. Ideally, this is where he should be twinkled dunzo, but if DPS is low or there were some deaths, a white Cyclops will spawn that does massive tank damage by critting every attack. It has low HP though and can be killed quickly, so depending on the HP of the boss, you may be able to just burn and ignore. If the fight is still going on after the white Cyclops is dead, another Chimera will spawn, so handle it exactly how you handled the first one. If the fight is still going on after this, there must have been a lot of bad things happen for DPS to be this low. So I have no idea what happens next, but Godspeed. Well guys, that's all I got. I hope this guide was helpful and will lead to some sweet first clears. Peace guys.